Network Entertainment.
It's still a testament to how other companies make you a big deal, whether you are aware of it or not, and whether people are aware of it. People like the shock factor when they see someone who is, if not from around here, there's a fresh face, diba? So I like that Ethan Page is getting that, oh my God, reaction. Honestly, he's not the biggest name WWE can get, pero he is definitely like an NXT level signing, big deal signing. So I appreciate that for him, and I hope that he can get some notoriety in NXT because that guy's career post TNA has been pretty bad. He's been pretty screwed sa AEW because of TK's negligence.
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed.
Let me talk to him.
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
Adam!
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I have to finish the story.
We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Run!
Bang! The sniper is shooting you down. This is TMDK's Robbie Eagles.
Hey, this is the Cosmic Cactus, Paul London.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the Czar, the NXT champion, and you're listening to...
And you're listening to...
And you're listening...
And you are listening...
And you're listening
to the Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
To the Wrestling Podcast. Yeah.
Listening to the longest running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. Stan T, Romaran, and Emile Nate checking in for our Picks of the Week episode. And if you're a long-time listener, then you know how this goes. But if you're not, then this is where we compile all of our favorite matches or segments from the week in wrestling so you can have a quick watch list, especially if you don't have the time or bandwidth that we do to catch everything kasi sobrang daming ganap every week. If you haven't caught our new episodes, including this new little mini-series we're trying called Wrestling Fan 101, then go check it out on our feed on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Pati yung weekend reactions namin where we talk about the biggest story beats and developments over the weekend, that should be on your feeds as well. We're going to start our picks of the week with mine from SmackDown over the weekend, which was the segment between Paul Heyman and Kevin Owens. And I really like this because it's a lot of good acting from both Paul Heyman and Kevin Owens. And they touched on a lot of very familiar story beats that we already know, like Kevin Owens hating the bloodline, Kevin Owens being a family man, Paul Heyman being terrified of this new direction of the bloodline under Solo Sikoa, and how he's just really horrified by Tongaloa and Tama Tonga. So sobrang gusto ko yung nilapitan ni Paul Heyman si Kevin Owens with dread and with fear and chaos. Like, diba? Even little things like that na parang wala nang kakampi si Paul Heyman. Wala na siya nung bravado that he used to have at the peak of the Bloodline's powers when Roman was still champion. And he's actually, he seems to be coming to Kevin Owens with some genuine concern for his safety and well-being. Kasi nga, hindi rin niya pinagkakatiwalaan tong sina Tama Tonga and Tongaloa. So I like how it really sells these guys as very savage characters. He even refers to them as thugs, diba? Which I don't know if that's racist or not, given that they're people of color and he's a white guy. But you know, it is what it is. Diba? They're really selling the fact na sobrang takot si Heyman dito kina Tama and Tongaloa. So I also loved Kevin Owens' response and how Paul Heyman was like, okay, whatever happens from here, ginusto mo yan. I already warned you. I was genuinely fearful for your safety, but here we are. So really good acting here from Heyman, who knows how to sell the fear with his tears, crocodile or otherwise. And Kevin Owens, who has the never say die spirit na, you know, F you bloodline, I will still go after you whether I'm with Randy Orton or not. So for those reasons, and then some, yun yung pick of the week ko.
The one thing, it's barely racist kasi, almost racist kasi he's lucky the Pacific Islanders aren't really black. So if they were, oh boy, there'd be a scandal on the hands of on WWE. Pero the one thing that struck me about this, I was watching it earlier. The one thing that struck me about this segment was that Heyman outright says that uh, he implies rather that he doesn't quite like the new bloodline and he doesn't sign off on it. So it's funny because why would you say that quiet part out loud in the story, diba? Di lagot ka kay Solo. Unless walang pakialam si Solo and he knows na Heyman isn't fully on board with this. So, kebs lang siya. Kaya, do whatever you want, Heyman, and then we'll do the rest. We just need you to be here, I guess. But I agree, it's really good acting. Whenever Heyman is called to do cinema, he delivers. Which is why I think this is what the new bloodline needed. Kasi yun nga, wala pang gravitas yung Solo faction, right? It's been missing that oomph kasi nga they skipped a lot of beats getting Solo to the new tribal chief point before doing anything credible on the main roster. So I wish they would go have Heyman do a lot more things, carry this storyline. Because Solo right now isn't it.
Yeah, and I have my reservations about the new bloodline. Like the more I see them each week, the more they feel less threatening. Even though Heyman is really selling that they are quote unquote thugs. The most interesting thing about this whole new bloodline story is Paul Heyman and how he's getting more terrified each and every week. So, mas napapansin ko si Heyman as compared to the new bloodline. Because at some point, there will be a clash of the old bloodline and then the new bloodline. And Heyman is the gap in the bridge between those two narratives. So it's important. He's a key part in this story, and they need more of this. Actually, they really need more of Heyman selling the new bloodline to the audience that this is something that they have never seen before. This is something that this new group is much more violent. It's much more vicious than what the bloodline was when Roman was the tribal chief. So I like this segment for what it is, and Kevin Owens did such a good job as well of having that again never say die attitude of I don't care if it's Solo, I don't care if it's Roman, I'm gonna fight the bloodline until I can. So this was a fantastic segment that led to the new bloodline coming into the ring and the Street Profits coming into the aid of Kevin Owens. So which also led to a pretty good match between New Bloodline and between God, Tongaloa, and Tama Tonga against the Street Profits. So
Yeah.
All in all, this was a good segment on SmackDown, and I wish we could get more of this because they've been medyo lacking talaga ng drama itong New Bloodline storyline na to.
All right, let's stick with SmackDown and get to Rowan's pick, which was the AJ Styles fake retirement segment. And if you haven't listened to our weekend reactions episode yet, then you can get our comments there. Everything we feel about that segment, sinabi na rin natin sa weekend reaction. So I'll just read Rowan's bit here. Sabi niya, he saw it coming for some reason, and he knew that it would be like Mark Henry in the salmon suit. He was also sort of convinced that AJ would retire since the OC who he had abandoned months back, they were kind of involved, diba? Michin had a backstage segment with Kayla Braxton. He also had Gallows and Anderson in the ring. Rowan says he doesn't know if the OC were aware of the plan, but he strongly disapproves of AJ reuniting with the OC kasi gusto niya na mag-solo muna si AJ. And with AJ attacking Cody in this segment that he feels heavily copy-pasted the Mark Henry and John Cena segment, it will forever be known as the powder blue suit swerve. And as we said in weekend reactions, ito yung setup for their rematch, probably at Clash at the Castle, Scotland. All right. Let's go to Chino's pick, which is from NXT. Ito, pinag-usapan din natin ng live stream. And it's all ego Ethan Page making his debut and attacking Trick Williams. Sabi naman ni Chino, Ethan Page's arrival made him pop right out of his seat kasi he's such a fan of Ethan Page outside the ring. He also felt na Ethan Page left AEW pretty quietly, and while his TNA run was somewhat memorable, medyo matagal-tagal na rin since that happened. So sabi ni Chino, seeing somebody like Ethan Page who was slept on, getting an opportunity at the biggest stage of pro wrestling is huge for him. And he hopes that this run of Ethan Page's doesn't get lost in the shuffle like some of the other indie vets na nangyaring ganitong klaseng bagay sa kanila. He would love to see Ethan Page be more of an LA Knight than a Sean Spears.
Yeah, we already talked about this on the live stream, but I just want to comment. It's funny that people will talk shit about AEW signings, but then when they come over to WWE or talk shit about AEW guys, diba? And say no one's watching you, no one's sino ka ba? But then when they come to WWE, they mark out for guys like Ethan Page and maybe for guys like Sean Spears, but not so much. But it's still a testament to how other companies make you a big deal, whether you are aware of it or not, and whether people are aware of it. People like the shock factor when they see someone who is, if not from around here, because a fresh face, diba? So I like that Ethan Page is getting that oh my god reaction. Honestly, he's not the biggest name WWE can get, pero he is definitely like an NXT level signing, big deal signing. So I appreciate that for him, and I hope that he can get some notoriety in NXT because that guy's career post TNA has been pretty bad. He's been pretty screwed sa AEW because of TK's negligence. So I hope that this is much better for him. I really do, because that guy has been working so hard. He's been losing weight. He's been trying to get in better shape. He's put in a lot of effort. So deserve naman niya ma-reward.
We also said nung live stream na this signing felt like it was a throwback to the black and gold NXT, where like a big name outside of the WWE comes in, makes an impact. No pun intended. Ethan Page is someone I really thought TK wasted in AEW. He had potential to be at least, TNT champion or international champion, but I don't know, maybe TK just didn't see it. I mean, they instead stuck him in a tag team with Scorpio Skye, and it worked for a bit, and then they got involved with the Jericho Vortex, which doesn't bode well for anybody at this point. So this is a fresh start for Ethan Page, and I think they're gonna treat him as a big deal in NXT because he attacked the NXT champion. So diretso champion agad yung punteriya niya. So I don't expect him to win the title over Trick, but it's in Shawn Michaels' hands now on how Ethan Page is going to be presented in NXT.
All right. Thanks for that, Emile and Ro. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about one of the best matches we've seen probably in the last month or so. And we'll also talk about Mercedes Moné's TV debut on AEW right after this quick word from our other podcasts on the Pod Network.
Mga Immortal, listen to the Underpaid Podcast with me, Stanley Chi, wherein we talk about work-related topics in a light manner na parang nagchichismisan lang tayo or nagkukwentuhan. Listen for free on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or kung saan ka man nakikinig ng podcast. Kita-kits!
Let's get to Ro's pick, which is from Dynamite. It was the AEW in-ring debut of Mercedes Moné on TNT. Or is it TBS? Ayun, TBS pala. Sorry.
TBS, yeah. Yeah, this is pretty good. I didn't like the Willow match so much nung Double or Nothing, but this was a lot more up their alley. Nag-cool off yung push ni Sky Blue from the ring. I think it was because she got a new tattoo. It's a pretty big tattoo. But Sky Blue and wrestlers like her was the perfect opponent for Mercedes because they are of the same size, so they are of the same style and make chemistry to them. And I like how Mercedes was really showing off what she learned in Japan. So I said last week that the current Mercedes run, or the first match that we saw in the run, parang nawalan siya ng step. And since her initial debut on the indie scene, or outside WWE at least. So this one felt like a return to that. I think she just needs to stick to that style and work on it. Really rely on it, so that magiging para magbelong siya in AEW, so she wouldn't be out of place too much. And I just wanted to give them their flowers, because not everyone picks the women so much nowadays. So I feel like both of them really worked hard to make it memorable.
Yeah, I enjoyed this one as well. More than the Willow Nightingale match din. I don't know why. Something about it just...
Kasi mas mobile sila.
I guess, pero may experience naman kasi si Mercedes working the big versus little formula.
I don't know. Yeah, you're right. That match just didn't click too much. Although people liked it, for me it just didn't click.
Maybe yung fatigue factor also was pretty real for me, given it's an AEW pay-per-view, whereas Dynamite is way more digestible. Maybe there's that.
Yeah.
There's also, I guess, a part of me that missed watching Skye Blue. I mean, granted, medyo annoyed rin ako sa character niya, diba? Like, she still does the wink, which really grinds my gears. Like, I don't know if I should be turned on by you or scared of you or whatever. So Skye Blue still needs character work. That said, she and Mercedes did cook in the ring, and it would be nice if we get more of this. Unti-unting nawawala na yung Dynamite and Collision episodes na you get the one token women's match or segment. So that's the Mercedes effect, diba? Something that we called from the moment that she signed with AEW.
They got two segments, but it was both Mercedes.
Yeah.
Oh,
actually,
yeah.
This is the first Dynamite post Double or Nothing, and their women's world champion was nowhere to be found.
She was on Rampage.
Yeah, on Rampage.
That's weird. Whatever. Anyway, let's round things out with Emile's pick, which was the main event of AEW Collision.
Yes, so my pick is the main event of Collision, which was Kyle O'Reilly versus Will Ospreay for the AEW International Championship. But first of all, we had two bangers this week from AEW. So this one, in the first one, I just want to give a shout out to the Casino Gauntlet match, the main event of Dynamite. That was really good. Felt like the all-star game of wrestling, because you got all these guys from different promotions. It was a hell of a match. So this one is my pick, though. The main event of Collision. Wow. I mean, we witnessed a pay-per-view caliber match on free TV. For me, this is the best that Kyle O'Reilly has looked ever since returning from his injuries. This is reminiscent of the Kyle O'Reilly that we saw had the main event run in NXT all those years ago. When he was challenging for the NXT Championship. That same intensity, that same viciousness that I always love from Kyle O'Reilly. This is the first time that I've seen it ever since he returned. I love that in the lead up to this match, Kyle O'Reilly is saying that he's probably the only one who has kicked out of the Hidden Blade so far in Will's tenure in AEW, and that played into that match because not only did Will Ospreay had to finish him off with two Hidden Blades, but he also had to finish him off with the super finisher in Will, which was the Stormbreaker, which I think put over O'Reilly as a legitimate challenger for his international championship. Like, for a minute there, I was convinced that Kyle was actually going to win the championship, because also at the match, I also love how everything Ospreay does, Kyle has a counter, and it made for a great match. Probably one of the best matches on TV this year. Probably also one of the best matches of the year so far. So, man, will this lead to Kyle O'Reilly having getting a singles push, because he deserves it? One of the best.
You mean this isn't a singles push already?
No, like ano pa dito? Like, will he challenge for the world title?
Big stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you say something, like, because he deserves it. Like, again, one of the most at this point, he's almost like underrated, but I think it's just because matagal din siya nawala. And he was out of the spotlight for too long. Na a lot of people like think that he's not as good anymore as he was back then. But this match proved that he's still Kyle O'Reilly.
Tagdan, I lightly disagree with the statement that this was the best he's ever looked. I felt that the Cope match was still the best he's ever looked in this run. Because that one he was really close to winning. This one, it's okay. It was also close to winning, pero syempre, it's Will. But I agree, this was a really, really good match. He deserved that 20 minutes, like 20 minutes for that.
Yeah,
they had
yeah.
three segments.
3 segments out.
Yeah, 3 segments. Yeah. So you can trust KOR. I think Tony Khan is also making the most of him, and then kind of sending him to an injury again. But it is what it is. Will is still the MVP of TV. A lot of people have been hating the fact that he signed with AEW, but again, we prove that he proves that signing with AEW means you get to see him cook every week or almost every week. So this is the best use of Will Ospreay. I think it's winning a lot more people over. Is like if you didn't like Will Ospreay before kasi medyo bobo siya. The wrestling, the good wrestling will cure all sins, will forgive all sins. So I really like this match. It's must watch, and it's straight up must watch. Don't skip it. Don't skip Collision.
Yeah, I agree with all the points. I am one of those people that Will Ospreay is winning over now that he's really putting out banger after banger on TV on a weekly basis. So much so na like I look forward to hearing his theme song. I've added it to my workout playlist. I chant Ospreay when he does his entrance. It's a lot of fun watching his matches and seeing Kyle O'Reilly of all people go counter for counter, diba? Kyle is also my favorite from the Undisputed era. So to see him in this spot and look pretty damn close to beating Will Ospreay for the International Championship was a fun little ride. I think the one thing that I wanted was for this match to have truly been the main event, meaning na ito yung nag-close ng show. But no, we got what looked like a taped Swerve Strickland promo to awkwardly end Collision. Hindi ko gets bakit ganun. Alam mo
You could have
yung
put
it
it in the
ended with
middle.
such a whimper. I didn't need Swerve to congratulate Ospreay on the win. They could have just not addressed that at all and just have Swerve deliver his message to whether it was Will Ospreay or Roderick Strong or whoever the hell. Yun lang. Sayang because it took the wind out of the sails of what was a superb main event.
I don't know. I liked it because it was an effort to promote the next show, which you don't get to see all that often. I think I'm trying to fix that. Kasi it does take away from the fact that we just had a great match, and then you're kind of not ending the show on the highest note. But I see where it made sense. Ang ayoko lang sana was that I wish it was live in the studio, in the arena, and not very obviously taped.
Yeah. Kasi diba, sobrang walang hype walang energy, and you could tell na Swerve
or at least Swerve
the riz of that he normally would have.
Swerve should have just come out after the match and cut the promo.
Yeah. Baka may booking siya. Baka may show siya with fresh garments or something. Double book sa Collision. Please. Thanks, garments. All right. Those are our picks of the week. If you want to get yours in, if you want to talk about what we'd pick, then you can let us know at Wrestling2XPod on TikTok and on Twitter. Or individually, it is at RoisWar, at Chino Supersized, at EML_Meister, at Monday Night Rowan, and at _Stan C. Thank you very much to Babyface producer Jasper and everyone over at the Pod Network for all of the work that they do behind the scenes. And thank you for continuing to make the Wrestling Podcast a part of your weekly wrestling diet. We'll catch you on Thursday at 7 p.m. Dating gawe for our live stream on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. So please make sure to follow us on all of our social media feeds for the latest in wrestling podcast content. For Ro Moran and Emile Nate, as well as Chino Liao and Rowan ASH, who cannot be here tonight, my name is Stan C, saying thanks for catching another episode of the Wrestling Podcast. Stay safe, stay dry, And don't be a dick. Wrestling Podcast. Out. Later, Outcasts.
Peace.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.